What is man? What is man? Please, can't you dream of always?
To save you the process of reading it, the laborious text up to Henry VIII. No. You wouldn't recognise the difference, would you, between Henry VIII and Henry V? Well, this may be about it. The Elizabeth same origin of ubiquity up to Henry V, the singing, not the history of the past. So, you know everything about music, you understand what is a good tune, you have experience in diction, you were elected runner-up for the in the year, and you are not unfamiliar with the true nature of how a piano should look, but are you perhaps the intendant dictator of destiny, or are you dictator denied of a country? Which? I was speaking to some people the other day, those, as it were, entangled in a society whose web of knowledge provided that they were questioned individually and collectively. Had much but less than, for instance, they deduced the remains of the day, because one pointed out, unfortunately, it has not been a very good day because we have been to school. That one of them stated that they said, oh, you do not look as old as you are. They said, in fact, we thought that you were probably also going to school or college. And then one pointed out that their father, who was aged approximately, I think it was 30, they pointed out that they had grey hair. Well, you would have never guessed it, would you, looking at the pupils? The word ubiquitous, you may note, is not ubiquitous, derived instead from the expressionism of some propensity established in the years from 1830 to 1840. Then ask yourself, how much do I have the ability to know the value of any good grand piano? Any grand piano. The ability, value. Ubiquitous, the synonyms and expression, the words or adjectives meaning, being everywhere, especially at the same time, omnipresent as it were. Ubiquitous, ubiquitously being in fact the origin, as indeed many words and related forms of ubiquitously, ubiquitousness, ubiquitously, ubiquitous, non-ubiquitously, non-ubiquitous, all derived from 1830-1840, but the equivocation for those less than inventing it then were at the time the elector was in the demeanour of passage of some manipulation following the fact that the worldly wherein Prime Minister had not really achieved that greatness in political circles that had been achieved on any battlefield by reputation. On the Waterloo battlefield, 18th of June 1815, after which it took 4 days, I'm told, for the report to return by horseback to London. And what a report. That ubiquity is its former derived form was, and its origin in ubiquity, 1570-1580, which places us firmly at the feet of a very young 6 to 16 William Shakespeare. That 1570 to 80 is New Latin ubiquitas, equivalent to Latin ubique everywhere, which measure for its posterity was being waged in the pre-Bloody Mary, which Mary first of England, in whose passage of time experiences many people whose ramparts in the bloody dynasty of less than 100 years equated or represented leadership. And we're saying, of course, those since Bosworth, 1485. Yet in whose name leprosy and one went, being thereupon to understand time or why the world could be circumnavigated when it's a square world, was not a title for the literacy, a literal regarding literature, it was the ubiquitous and the ugly which, sustaining a breed of impostors such as leaders, were nonetheless those who believed in themselves. You think you will make it great in music, and in the great purpose of it, but you had not considered that believing anything actually was your people's assumption. That instead the understandings were in 1570, founded in as much as so many who could not even read, never mind write music, and yet who sell and offer items where the thoughts about it are surely given, and the seller thinks that not that state about being cheap price, then you are told by them, then good luck. Good luck. Good luck. The measurements of mediocrity are the length, size and breadth of how much the seller is not all there, or not telling the truth, or in dissolve of reality. A result that reality does that less than care what it will cost you to put it right, those damages, the breed of damages. That breed of damages is not the breed that explains to you who understands good luck, but who is misdirected by it some, that the truisms of the leader of the party in 1570 was certainly going to lead, was it not, to the Spanish speech at Tilbury by the Queen of England. The death of the Tudor, the resolve of the king who was ultimately going to be executed in the future for treason, that made the real leader of a country look so pale as head, in whose executive parliamentary position had been a night out, that made the long and the short parliaments of the 17th century in Westminster under King Charles I Stuart look fairly conciliatory towards reform, that you can understand the English Civil War and Oliver Cromwell, or you can understand what Bartholomew Cristofori was trying to achieve in the invention of the piano, although you cannot call it then a piano. By any comparison might now be called you, the girl, for instance, the flaxen hair, even once thought about the Duke, that as the flaxen hair, you approaching, actually voting at any time of your own importance in the unit, that flaxen your hair, that embodiment derives of Lyman, Ulysses is ever going to achieve for its encasement, or such incarceration as whosoever is whose current home for which it might or otherwise be situated at any time, going to be more surely now achieved for you. In that incarceration, a demagogue may run away from any conception of cleric, or run toward its being of freedom, assumed of freedom, from the once Italian Catholic weaning of the mother, for instance, in the case of Benito Mussolini. But what is Brand? Who is even accountable to such failure more than the voter that swathes from blend of liberal, Italian popularists with two representatives other in 1923, the party Il Duce Supreme Leader, that bid at any time of you who might be voting in 1924, the credibility more of the master race than the free thinker you only think you might be. The anti-rhinum plants are really a perennial and will withstand short periods of frost. You only think you might not stand such short periods of frost in the light of having been implicit voters for that which you were not told, that your people, your friends, as well as those even you might once have considered as your enemies, were in retrospect not going to be voting for a free country, but instead you were in fact taking the last 15 years since the Jalcott report was proved. Any electorate might more be expected to question such propriety of those who vote is now proved. That in those, that other times since 1923, the fascist form is represented by a claim, it was legal there, as the saluting invader of the other people's land. Good luck! or you are a humble politician who fights even now for justice. What you call your piano and the Rome or the London, which is its maker, be aware is not its founder. No longer it be denied or be deemed that in the address book to even exist, but that the sellers, they all or most even expect you will learn it and then even believe it. Because unfortunately, whether the minority or if it be deemed the majority of people might be out of their mind or conceited in some intention to do other or to say nothing, or might be unrepresented by your vote. Never good judgment or bad judgment go on to do it as much and more often to deny it. Are you mad or simply disenfranchised? Man pierde, det här med korgen, med chairs, konstspektor visar. Kan du göra välvägda nästa konstruera ni utgör pressa as ma padre caressa cadella mea manda. Or do you ever and never learn? Or do you ever have not any opinion of what your leaders are saying or how they might be implicit or complicit in what declaring more than mere words, but leaders nonetheless who you have voted taken, and by meaning it to be something else. If it not be even what you think it is, that what it is not what it was, not even how it need be now. But by as much as it does not confuse me at all that you ignore me, nor to even despise me, not that you be such also concert pianist rather than just a piano player. May never explainability, it is sad, it is not surprising. That is not surprising. The relative and the melancholy and the remains of Earl and Looking Grey, that conducts to oblivion a new construct in ignorance, that is less becoming an ethos cause than it is merely leadership. I mean, of their in fact learned or gleaned by any one of them, or better, and one of them happens to be you. The thought of assumption of enterprise by which they might be think could be taken for one election ethos and administered better by some next lady whose embodiment of iron, the way. Had anyone voted for Benito Mussolini? Then who of those who had actually hanged him? Mussolini and his mistress Clara Petacci were stopped by communist partisans in area of Bellini, who identified the political commissar and partisan in the 52nd Garibaldi parade, Ivana Ziarazza, on the 27th of April 1945 near the village of Dongo, Lake Como, as they headed for Switzerland on board a plane to escape to Spain. During this time, Clara's brother posed as a Spanish consul after several unsuccessful attempts to take them to Congo. They were brought to Metzegra, where they spent the next night in the house of the Dameri family. The next day, Mussolini and Petacci were both summarily shot, along with the last members of their 15-man train, primarily ministers and officials of the Italian Social Republic. The shootings that take place in a small village of Chiarani Dirmitsky, and were conducted by partisan leader who used the nom de guerre, the Colonel Valerio. His real identity is unknown, and conventionally is thought to have been Walter Aldizio, who also claims to have carried out the execution, but another partisan controversially elected Colonel Valerio was Luigi Lorio, and subsequently a leading communist politician in the post-war Italy. The fellow that bids you good luck, let's say, is temporary, assuming everyone is like them, or is this the esteemed isolation of what might be for them any sense of normality, or that they were preferred, for instance, by anyone who thought or might be you think, or them, then you would know who might be even thinking about the science of that item you are selling by, would understand what might be good luck be going to afford you the fate of the fetus shrouded in misjudgment that judges the boyfriend any more differently to her girlfriend, never provides such pathos to my own devout moral intellect, that the 28th of April 1945 was going to be, for instance, the end of the last seller of charity to bid any believer on this popular front in her class Preptati. That by that indignity as to have her life conscripted to such fate as her boyfriend Benito Mussolini, whose life was not only ended on the same day by presumably the same brand as traitor in person, or was it the killer? Speaking actually for the voters, you who voted for him, or who voted for him, or who is dead. And you say, how does it matter? And you therefore do not care about your future is the reason you vote now? I think you need what brand is your piano that persuades greatness? You consider? The conscript, this cell I am performing for you by Henry V, King, the fifth to expose. Those vestiges of your past you see hidden, those entrapments promoted by some of your writers' deceit, that perhaps you more deserve a seat to understand why, or simply stand for re-election. For this is posing, this is entirely her own work here. This exactly proves that Shakespeare's is the lie, or maybe the lie more, than you are the keen voter to see any less truth than corruption. And that is why you vote for it, because you do not understand it most of the time. And most of you, who would not believe that? La secesión española, los españoles son las veces, la historia de mi tía. Thank you. Gracias. Molto buona via. Good luck.